We're live. Y'all need Jesus.
Y'all need Jesus.
Y'all need Jesus. Y'all need Jesus. We are live.
Hello.
Hello. We don't got nobody watching yet.
Hello. Is it me you're looking for?
Jesus Christ, here we go.
That's how we say hello.
Did you just clip that?
No, it just happened to open up on the page, and with the delay, it came to that. That's fun.
Awesome.
Joseph Schultz is watching.
Awesome. Hi, Joseph. Worship brother Joseph. How? And happy first meeting. I heard it went over very well.
Well done.
Oh, I'm going to move forward.
Brother Greg Schultz is watching.
Brother Greg. Worship brother Greg. What's up? What's up?
Ken Tarwood is watching.
Hello, here I am.
They won't see me if I'm picking my
Just
nose.
doing some homework real quick.
I can see you picking your nose.
So
Oh,
that's okay.
What
It's
is
just us and a few friends, right?
Yeah, and whoever watches this after it goes up.
just doing some homework. Just doing some quick homework. Trying to do all this shit. All right.
Spelling homework or what?
No, not spelling.
Worshipful Brother Joe brought some really cool stickers.
Yes, he did.
Yes, we do
We'll
have
get into that
some
shortly.
Freemason podcast stickers.
Excuse me. All
With
right.
the logo designed by
Hey, Rocco.
Brother Peter Daigle.
We're gonna need some toast material. We have a lot of toast.
Toast.
All right, ready, guys?
Where's our scribe tonight?
No scribe. Good. I chased him out of here.
Ban.
Pain in the ass.
Doesn't know how to speak on a
Love
freaking
you.
microphone.
Now nobody
Love
will
you.
take notes.
It's fine. Don't need to
We're
take
noteless.
notes.
It's okay. We'll,
Some things don't need to be
we'll
taken
record
notes.
it. It'll be recorded.
No, some things
Yeah,
you
that's
don't
true.
need to take notes.
We'll just watch the Facebook Live video back.
Get out of here.
and
The Glendo.
Take notes later.
Glendalow. Excuse me.
That Jameson's looking pretty sad, so it's gotta disappear, I think.
All right, we ready?
Gotta go away.
5, 4. Goddamn, Rocco. Knock the whole table over. He says I have grievances.
Thank you.
I have
The
grievances.
Schultzes are already going at each
This
other.
isn't Festivus. There'll be no
On our
airing of
Facebook
grievances on
Live.
this episode.
All right.
We should do a Festivus episode.
What the hell's a Festivus episode?
You don't know what Festivus is?
No.
Jerry
Oh my
Oh,
god.
God, I hate that show.
No idea. All right. Yeah, leave it right there. It's fine. I'll take it. All right, ready?
Ready?
We're going to go live.
Ready.
Recording. Any louder, Rocco? Any louder? 5, 4, 3, 2. Hello and welcome to the Freemasons podcast. I'm your host, Right Worshipful Brother George Mudgery, and with me tonight,
Worshipful Brother Joe.
Worshipful Brother Ken.
Brother Rocco.
and we're up here tonight. We're going to get through some quick little bit of stuff, and then we're going to start our podcast. And tonight's topic is going to be how to be a good leader of a lodge and or worshipful master. We're going to go over some leadership traits for those who are looking to become master, and just in general, good leadership traits. Things that somebody's on Discord. Oh, Joe. So we're going to go over that. That's going to be our topic for the night. But first thing I want to do is I want to plug the freemasonspodcast.com. We have shirts up there. Actually, just put up a shirt not too long ago. Ken, you want to talk about
Yeah, so is it the Straight Out of the Southgate?
it? Uh-huh.
Yep. So I guess Worshipful Brother, or Right Worshipful Brother, talking about potential new T-shirt ideas, and I don't know, one thing led to another, and
Mhm.
we're bouncing some ideas off of one another, and we thought about the concept of a certain character from our ritual passing out the South Gate,
Mhm.
and it's a pretty big deal in Masonic ritual. I'm not going to go into exactly what it is or what it means, but if you get a shirt and it says Straight Out of the South Gate, I can guarantee you that any other brother on the street, if they're have the cap on, will get the reference.
Mhm.
And those of you that are brothers out there know what I'm talking about. I thought it was a cool idea. I think George thought it was a cool idea. You
Mhm.
guys tell us.
Right.
Let us know.
Mhm.
I ordered one. I'll
So
be
is it
wearing
like
it next
in the-
podcast.
Straight out of Compton font.
It's in the Straight Out of Compton
All right.
kind of
That's cool.
design.
I like it.
All right.
With the Freemasons
Yeah, I
podcast
did.
logo
I
on
put
the
logo on the arm.
on
Mhm.
the arm. It's
Mhm.
pretty cool.
Right. I don't know where I left off on new likes because I didn't update my stuff here. So I'm just going to start from where I think I left off, which was Charles Scott, Bryce Kwasny, Scott Schaefer, Courtney Wheel, Ernesto Robbie Diaz, Scott Shalinsky, Colt Ruel, Randy Stevens, Mark Zuccarella, Robert Namias. Again, I butcher names, so I apologize if I butcher your name. So those are the toasts we're going to do. Brethren, right hand arms.
To arms.
Ready.
Ready.
Aim.
Aim.
Fire. Good fire. Fire all. Together, brothers.
Vivat! Vivat! Vivat!
All right. Next one. We have some shout outs. Ernesto Robbie Diaz says to the Freemasons podcast, shout out to the Babysitters Club. I love the podcast. You always seem to have a blast and genuinely enjoy each other's company. That's a mess.
I like Rocco.
You love me.
You guys kind of hate each other.
I can
Be
only
bored
hope
now.
for that kind of camaraderie. P.S. Henry sucks. Dan,
Henry.
Dan, hashtag meatball, hashtag Italian. George, love you. All right.
So clearly catching up on
Yeah,
my
he's-
older episodes. That's good. He's going back into
He's
the
in the
archive.
backlog there. Long ago.
All right. David Meese recommends the Freemasons podcast. Brothers, you guys are hilarious. I love the banter and shenanigans that go on in your podcast. They are informative and entertaining. I drive a city bus for a living, and I have you on while I drive. I think I covered this one, but I'm going to do it again.
Oh, that one's great.
Sometimes I have to turn it down because of the F-bombs, but otherwise have a few men come up and ask me about masonry. I did read this one last
Yeah.
time. But anyway, Dave Meese, shout out to you again.
Drive safely.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
There was a recent one that came out that was really cool.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get to.
Uh-huh.
It's actually the one that I'm looking.
I think it was Corey Lighty.
Yes, read it.
All right, brethren, thank you for reminding us that yes, masonry has its times that we are serious and proper, but there is also a time to sit back with brothers, have a drink of choice, and enjoy the fellowship that this fraternity is built upon. The ties that are created through that fellowship is how we know that brothers will always have our back. I am a new listener and trying to listen to past podcasts and enjoying each one. Again, thank you for reminding us that just because we are Masons does not mean we can't have fun.
Thank you, brother.
Awesome,
It's a
brother.
very nice review.
Yeah.
We have another one.
Nice sentiment.
Ronald Barker recommends the Freemasons podcast. Amazing podcast, guys. I have to listen to you. I've listened to you from Missoula, Montana to Portland, Oregon, and back again. Thank you for the light humor you guys bring.
It's a stretch.
Light humor, but you know what? That's fine. Did we do Heath
Doesn't
Moss?
matter.
I feel like we did. Yeah, we did. We definitely did. But anyway, shout out to him as well.
Yeah.
That's all I got for a recommendation. So let's do them separately. Recommendations on Facebook. Brethren, actually, Joe, lead it.
Brothers, right hand to arms.
Arms.
Ready.
Ready.
Aim.
Aim.
Fire, good fire, fire all. Together, brothers.
Vivat! Vivat! Vivat!
That was
was
a late
you.
one. That
That
a
was
late
you.
one. Yeah. It's a rarity that I do it, but you know what? I messed up too.
Take some time for the sound to get down there.
There we go. There we go. That's all I have as of right now that I can tell, unless you guys got anything else for shout outs and all that stuff. So,
I just want to mention that the new likes from Scott Shalinsky, current master of Ashlar Aspetuck Lodge number 142, and Mark Zuccarella, current senior warden
awesome.
of Ashlar
Yeah.
Aspetuck Lodge number 142.
Awesome.
My mother lodge.
Awesome. Anybody I missed, call me out on it. Tell me I suck. I don't care. Go for it.
I'll tell you.
Here we go. Patreon. Hop on Patreon if you become a Patreon member or you support the podcast through Anchor. We'll get you into Discord. And you can join all of the shenanigans that happen down in there and or actually intelligent conversations from time to time. It's great. A lot of times my favorite thing about the Discord and the Patreon is that, there's sometimes that we're not even involved in the answers and questions, and it's across, state to state.
Yep. The community's kind of taken on a life of its own, which is nice.
It's great.
Because some of us, occasionally have to actually do our jobs at work and can't always be available 24/7.
Absolutely.
Though we try to be.
All right. Washington's rules. We're going to do this one, and then we're going to get into different rules, and we'll talk about that when we do the leadership thing. But Number 73. Think before you speak. Pronounce not imperfectly.
How you doing that one?
How'd you do with that, George?
I knew it was coming. Think before you speak. Pronounce not imperfectly, nor bring out your words too hastily, but orderly and distinctly. So that's actually for me and Rocco, I think, because I mispronounce words and Rocco mumbles through stuff, so it's good.
Because you're both big dummies.
This damn puppet coming back. All right, so we're going to start it off, and we're going to talk about leadership traits of good leadership traits of a leader and or master. First thing I want to say is you should not become a master if you are not well versed in the ritual and or the rules and regulations. I want to start with that right off the bat, because if you cannot contemplate or understand what it means to be a master, probably shouldn't be doing it.
Well, I mean, there are certain charges that the master is given when he becomes master of the lodge. There is some ritual that you have to know, but it doesn't mean that you have to be, a Shakespearean, like, thespian actor. You don't have to be an amazing ritualist. There is a certain amount of ritual that I think you should have to know, but I don't think a prerequisite of becoming a master is that you have to be a perfect ritualist. Or even, I just don't think that that's necessarily required.
Right.
Rules and regs, totally, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to be able to read rules and kind of like,
Constitutions and all
yeah,
that
at
stuff.
least know what they are from a conceptual level. I mean,
Right.
you've got other individuals that you can rely on in Open Lodge to help you out if you're put on the spot and you have to make a decision. I mean, you've got your secretary, you've got your chaplain. There are people have ritual books open. There are people that have the rules and regs book in front of them. It's not always practical as master to have that documentation in front of you when you're in Open Lodge. But you should have a general idea of how to run the operation, and you have to be comfortable reading documentation and following it. Right. Which I think all the men that I know that became master of the lodge had a pretty firm grasp on that.
I think that a couple things that you should do. I have this damn fruit fly.
Yeah, I'm
every
going to get it
single
eventually. I
time.
swear to God.
You're like Mr.
I'm gonna get 'em.
Miyagi. Give him some chopsticks.
Of course, the fruit fly is too small to see on Facebook Live, so everybody just kind of thinks we're swatting
we're
floaters
just
here.
flinging it.
But I assure you, there
Random
are
stuff.
fruit flies.
DMT stuff.
I was
You're
watching
smoking.
it land on your mic
And they
stand.
weren't in here when I walked in. Yeah, it's on my mic stand. I walked in here earlier. I was washing everything up and cleaning up the table. There were no bugs in here. Now all of a sudden there were bugs.
So
we had the window open.
back on the leadership traits. I read a lot of stuff, and Washington's Rules of Civility and Decent Behavior. I've read multiple times, and I've really embodied many of the leadership things in it, such as speak less and listen more than speaking and all that stuff. But one of the best ones that I have ever, one of the best set of core values for a good leadership act, and this is a 100% true story. When I was a kid, I used to go to Vermont, and my grandfather had a cabin up in Warren, Vermont, and down the road from him was a good friend to their family, which was the Marcinkos.
Mhm.
And the guy who lived down the road was Annette and Joe Marcinko. I don't know if anybody really knows, but he had a brother, and his name was Richard Marcinko, or Dick Marcinko, and he's also known as the Rogue Warrior. He was the very first leader and creator of SEAL Team 6. And when I was a kid, I actually got to speak to him on the phone, and it was pretty funny because I always wanted to. And the way this whole conversation started, I remember being a kid, and I'm reading the Rogue Warrior book because I always wanted to be a Navy SEAL. I actually took the Navy SEAL in-doc test to try to get in before I became a Marine. And I was young. I was in high school, so I didn't fare too well against college guys who were built like brick shit houses. But I did pretty good.
Is there a height requirement?
I was going to say, was there any kind of like spelling aptitude?
You had to be
requirement
5'6" or taller.
Grammar, penmanship. All right, we got it all out of our system, right?
You sure, guys?
Yeah,
I think so.
So, but anyway, I was sitting on the couch, again, I think I was probably 15, 16 years old, and I was sitting on the couch, and I remember Joe, who was his brother, came into my grandfather's cabin, and he's like, "What you reading there?" I said, "Oh, it's this book by Dick Marcinko, Rogue Warrior." I said, he's like, it's my brother, right? The fuck? No, it's not. It's not your brother. I thought he had the same last name. I thought he's like, "No, for real, it's my brother."
Wow.
And I'm like,
That's cool.
okay. All right, whatever. So I'm reading the book and everything. And again, about, I don't know, it had to have been a couple months later or whatever. My father hands me the house phone. He's like, "Somebody wants to speak to you." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And this is God's honest true story. Apparently, Joe and Annette had gone down to North or South Carolina or Virginia, somewhere, to a wedding where he was. And I pick up the phone, and I'm like, "Hello?" And he goes, "What's up, puss nuts?" I heard you want to be a Navy SEAL. He's like, "You think you got the balls to do it?" And I'm like, "No, sir." Yes, sir. Like, instantly locked up. Like, It was pretty funny. But that's 100% true story. So I actually got to speak to him. I don't even know if the guy's still alive anymore. But I got to speak to the creator and actually author of this book, Richard Marcinko. And I actually got to speak to him on the phone. That's 100% true story. But in one of his books, and it was called The Rogue Warrior. Oh boy, I'm gonna butcher this, but it's The Rogue Warrior: Leadership Secrets of the Rogue Warrior. And I really read these and I embodied them. And again, they're kind of profane, they're kind of rough, but we're going to kind of decipher them, to what, how it would apply to a Masonic lodge.
Profane as in obscene, or profane as in
language?
Okay, right. Profanity.
They're very rough.
There again.
They're very rough leadership skills. And here we go. I'm going to start with the first one. "I will test my theories on myself first. I will be my own guinea pig."
Dig it.
I think that's very important if you want to apply it to Masonic lodges. You shouldn't do anything to the members of your lodge that you would not do yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
Which means you can't sit there and be like, "Worship Brother Ken, you're going to learn the past master degree ritual and you're going to perfect it."
Yep.
But I can't.
Yeah, that's an unreasonable expectation, especially because you don't know whether it's even possible to do it if you haven't been able to do it yourself.
No, I'm not saying that a master needs to be able to perform a degree. I'm not saying that a master should perform all of the degrees, but I am saying that for me, I took it as I can't ask anybody else to learn this if I can't learn it myself. And that goes from the bottom floor up. You can't tell an EA, you need to know this ritual. You need to know this steward lecture. And we got master masons who can't even do it.
Yep.
So
You end up losing credibility.
you do.
No credibility.
And actually, the hell is this guy?
Well, Freemasonry is about shared experience, right? I mean, that's what our brotherhood is based on. If you're expecting somebody to do something that you couldn't even do, that breaks that whole philosophy, I think.
Right. Number 2, the Rogue Warrior Leadership Code. This is number 2. "I will be totally committed to what I believe, and I will risk all that I have for these beliefs." I will attribute it to my term. I believe that we needed to add Saturday meetings, and I went to freaking war with my lodge over adding Saturday meetings, to the point where I almost got shanked in the parking lot. not literally, I'm figuratively speaking, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, there are different strategies for dealing with that kind of thing, but yeah, stick to your convictions. Absolutely, 100%. If you have an idea and you believe it's going to work and you have the best interest of the lodge and the brothers in the lodge in heart, then there are ways of bringing guys onto your side of things. There are differing strategies there. One is to go to war. The other is to kill with kindness and kind of convince people of your viewpoint and try to persuade them. But I think in general, sticking to your convictions is critical. It's a critical skill for any leader.
This one is, I think, one of the major ones that I absolutely loved when I listened to it. "I will back my subordinates all the way when they take reasonable risks to help me achieve my goals." Which basically means if you have a corps of officers, again, we're going to bring this into Masonic. If you have a corps of officers that are willing to risk it all to defend you or basically achieve what you're trying to do, you definitely have to back them. and I'll use this podcast as an example. Got into trouble. Talked about it. I don't need to keep beating a dead horse.
A little bit.
But you do beat that.
But
up
I
a
had
lot.
said, and I'm not getting into the details. I'm just saying, I had said, I'm going to go talk to the powers that be, and I'm going to smooth this all over. I'm going to go by myself. I don't want you guys to get in trouble. And maybe you guys can say what the resounding result was to what I had said.
Well, we know what Jack did.
We know what Jack did, but, there was a bunch of you guys were like, you ain't going alone.
No, we're in this
Yeah,
together. This
we're
is
in
all
this
of
together.
us.
Yep.
We're all a part of this.
We all believe in the mission of what this podcast is all about. If we didn't, then why would we even be here to begin with?
Correct.
So
And
yeah, we're going to defend the
and-
chicks.
We were all
Chicks,
willing
yeah,
to
I mean,
fall
they're
on the
everywhere.
sword.
Chicks dig a
For,
podcast.
we were all willing
Somewhere.
to fall on the sword for George.
right. And again, I'm using this as an example.
Follow him to the end of the world. I would.
I'm using this as an example, but it's the best example that I have at this moment. This even applies to even in lodge. If your master, if you have a master who has, listen, this is what I want to do. I want to bring in new membership by doing X, Y, and Z. All right, I got your back. Let's do it. And if he catches hell for it, or they start catching hell for it, they're defending you. They're defending. They're doing what you want to do. So if they're catching hell, back them up.
And if you don't, guess what? They're never going to defend you again.
Exactly.
You're never going to get anything done as a leader after that.
Number 4, another one of my favorites. I will not punish my people for making mistakes. I will only punish them for not learning from their mistakes.
Yep.
Huge.
I brought this
Huge.
up, I think, on a previous episode, but the founder of the company that I work for right now had I hope I'm not doing him any misjustice by quoting him, but he had this quote where it was, pay the tab, but keep the receipt.
Mm-hmm.
Which is basically, if you make a mistake as a subordinate, it's okay. We'll pay that tab, but we're also going to keep the receipt.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Make that mistake once and only once.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't, and like, you're kind of stifling creativity and innovation and new ideas by crapping on every mistake that somebody makes.
I think that's a very core point that don't punish people. You don't rip somebody apart for doing their best, and you don't rip somebody apart for making a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
If they repeat that mistake, now
Right, and that's a totally different.
it's a totally different story. Now it's almost like a lack of caring in a sense. If I forget to send in my monthly, okay, we don't do that anymore in the state of Connecticut. We'll just start out there, right? We don't do it anymore.
No, we don't.
But we had to send it in by the 10th, or the lodge would be fined. I think it was $50.
Either 25 or 50.
25 or
Yeah,
50.
I never missed one, so I didn't have that issue.
I never missed one either. I was late, but a couple times. But we never got fined. But let's just say, for sake of argument, the master's again. My responsibility is on the 10th as the secretary is by the 10th, fire in that monthly before the 10th.
Right.
If I miss it the first time, it's like you know what, shit happens. You missed it. Whatever. You know what? You got family. You got this. You got that. Everything. But now all of a sudden you do it the next month.
Can you
It's
explain what monthlies are?
Okay.
'Cause I don't even really know.
Okay, so a monthly report is basically it's a report that used to go in. Still, pretty much we update it on Grandview now. So if you have a change in the roster, change of an address, addition of a mason, a death of a mason,
Somebody
death of a widow,
Okay.
Every
Anything
month-
changes in your role.
anything
Right.
changes in your lodge, you have to send. You used to have to send in a written report, or used to be able to PDF it, I think.
Mhm.
But you'd send in a report saying, okay, so Ken moved to Woodbury, need to change his address. Here's his new address, so that the Grand Lodge records were always, now everything is on Grandview. You literally change it, boom, they have the information automatically.
Yep.
But prior to this system, it was very archaic. You had to write in, sign every single month that you guys were in lodge or not dark or dim, excuse me. You'd have to send this report. If you missed it by the 10th, you can potentially be fined. You get a nasty gram from the grand secretary first, but then eventually, if it became habitual, you would eventually get fined for not sending it in because you're not allowing them to update their records.
Yeah.
So
There's a reason that Grand Lodge needs to keep that stuff
Right.
accurate.
Mhm. So especially for notifications and all
Yep.
that stuff,
And
because
your Masonic clock.
your Masonic clock,
Yep.
all that stuff.
Hmm.
But let's say I missed, back on the thing. If I missed that month, whatever, it happens. You miss something. But the next month, now it's become habitual where it's like, oh, well, I'm just going to go in late. And realistically speaking, if you, I was fine the first month, I'll be fine the second month. I'll be fine the third month. I'll be fine the fourth month.
And then you start neglecting your
Now you start neglecting your responsibilities.
Now it's a
not
habit.
good.
So if you bring it to the master's attention, listen, I screwed up. I was late. Okay, not a problem. But now the next month, you got to go and report to the master again and say, screwed up again. At some point, the master's going to be like, listen,
No, we have a talk.
it's going to be your ass if you don't do this. This is your job. So I like that one. All right. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I will not be afraid to take action because I know that almost any action is better than inaction. And I know sometimes not acting is the boldest action of all.
Wow, that's a complicated one.
It's a complicated one, but let's break it down. I will not be afraid to take action, which means I will not be afraid to do something.
Yeah. You're empowered to do something.
empowered to do something.
'Cause your boss, ostensibly, if you screw up, is going to defend you.
Right. And sometimes inaction is an action.
Mhm.
Let me give you an example. You got two Masons in lodge. They're fighting. They're having an argument. Okay. You need to decide as a master, do I go down and do I sit them both down and I handle this, or do I let it iron itself out? That's a distinction you as a leader need to make.
Mhm.
You need to be able to, okay, listen, it's getting to a point now where it's now beginning to disrupt my lodge. So at what point do I either step in or not step in? And that's a decision you need to make, because sometimes not getting involved and letting it iron itself out is the best action.
Mhm.
And I think being a good leader, you'll be able to decide that. Again, the only thing I could really attribute it to my years as master is when the brother stood up and basically threatened me in lodge. My action could have been bring him up on Masonic charges, but my action of not taking that route ended up panning out for the better, because for a couple reasons. It would have, if I would have done it, I would have looked like a dictator,
No.
and it would have. And again, this guy was a right worshipful brother. So, do you taint another brother's record? It would have made me look like a demon. I would have been a bad guy, because now I've taken this guy's whole Masonic career, balled it up,
Yeah.
and threw it away.
Though you would have been within your rights to do that. You
Correct.
still would have,
Right. So
stained another.
that was an action of mine, was to not take action. We sat down, we talked it out, we figured it out like brothers. But that's the best example I got.
Well, I actually had one that happened in open lodge while I was sitting master, where, again, one brother threatened another brother,
Mhm.
and I had to stop and think for a moment. And then after contemplating, I'm like, no, I have to do something. I had to take an action. So next thing was Brother Junior Warden, how goes the hour? And we went to refreshment, and I kept those two brothers in. So I gave them both a talking to and said, you got to squash this. You got to figure it out. But then our associate grand marshal was in the room when it happened as well. So I knew afterwards I couldn't just let it go at that. So I talked to our AGM, and he's like, look, do what you think is right.